If you have a Motorola Defy satellite link or a Spot device like this Spot X, I'm sure you know that there's an SOS button on there, but do you know who's on the other end of the SOS button or what happens when you hit the SOS button? I'm going to show that to you in this video. There's a company that handles the emergency response for both of these systems called Focus Point, and they've been gracious enough to allow me to go to their emergency response center, take a look around, so that I can show you what exactly happens every stage of the way, from hitting the SOS button, communicating with them, getting emergency services dispatched to you, and then maybe even filing an insurance claim afterwards. I'll talk about all of those different things, or I'll show you all those different things in this video. Now, this is not a sponsored video in any way, but like I said, Focus Point did allow me to visit their emergency response center, so big thank you for that to Focus Point. And right now, I'm here in South Carolina. It's hot, it's humid, it's August, that's how it is, right? But I'm in some pretty heavy tree canopy. We're gonna test out an emergency SOS call using the Defy, so let's give that a whirl and see what happens. Now, the first thing I wanted to do, which is totally optional, is I just wanted to see if I had a satellite connection here in the forest, which I did. And then I can trigger the SOS. Now, I can do it on the app, or I can hold the button down here for 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, it'll start to beep and vibrate, letting you know that the SOS has been triggered. If you have a Defy, I highly recommend going to the Bullet app. You're going to get a two-way chat opened up with the Crisis Response Center, the CRC. The first part of that will be a short questionnaire that will give them all of the information they need in order to deal with your emergency quickly and effectively. Now, if you're on satellite, once you send that message, it will go up to a low Earth orbit, a LEO satellite for the Spot devices. Those are Globalstar. And if you're using the Motorola Defy, it will go even higher to a geostationary satellite above the Earth. Then the message travels back down to Earth to a ground station where it is forwarded to one of the two redundant crisis response centers operated by Focus Point. One is in South Africa, one is in Florida. They're both up 24/7. They're operated by real humans, and they handle all types of emergencies.
We've had everything from lost hikers, broken down dirt bikes, to people dangling off a cliff, from rock climbing. We've had a lot of maritime distress vessels. Some people just run out of gas. Some people, their boat is actually going down. So
it's the best time is when you're not when you're in danger, but when you think you're in danger. So a few scenarios could be if you are injured during a hike, if you are lost. That's when you really need it the most. What you don't want to do is waste valuable time when nightfall hits and it becomes a lot more difficult to either locate you and rescue you. So our team, our operations support specialists, will talk to you, and they can either revert you back to a trail because they'll see the tracking. They can advise what's near you, or they can render aid and send the nearest entity to help you get where you need to be.
We had one case in particular down in Argentina where we rescued a lady. She was pinned down on a mountaintop. The SOS was really all she had, but it was working through that whole scenario, getting people out to her, using our resources, our mapping, to let them know this is her location, there's a trail here, going with local resources and communicating, and they finally rescued her.
On an everyday specific to an SOS, we have proprietary software where an SOS comes in, the OSS receives it, they have it on a map, they know the latitude and longitude of the location, geo-coordinates, and then that OSS acts upon it, whether it's a one-way device, a two-way device, depending, and what the emergency is. If it's a one-way device, there's no communication, so we have to escalate it. Escalate it means we contact the local authorities, whatever that may be. And if it's a two-way device, then we can triage it, meaning that we talk back and forth. What is your emergency? Is it medical? Is it, is there an injury, severity?
And even aside from the initial questionnaire, there's a couple things you can do to make the response even more effective.
Yeah, two-parter. One, the additional information box. It'd be great if they put in things that are pertinent or important to their situation or the event that they're heading out to. So whether they're going on a hunting trip for one day or a hiking trip that may last a week or two, it's good to know because we know what type of rations or supplies you have, especially if you put start dates and end dates. The second thing is your emergency contacts. Make sure that they're people that maybe won't be with you on this trip, or people that know that you're going on this trip and could be expecting a phone call, worst case scenario.
As part of the process, the OSS will reach out to your emergency contact to try to get any other information about you or your situation. And even when we did this test, as part of the procedure, the OSS reached out to my emergency contact, my wife. And it was a bit of a shock to her because she knew I was out doing a hike, but she didn't know specifically that I was doing an SOS test. And I'd imagine it would be the same if you hit SOS and one of your emergency contacts got this call too.
So I got an initial phone call. They asked me if I knew who you were, and I said yes. And they started asking me more questions, and I did not cooperate because I thought it was a scam. And I hung up. And then I decided to call the number back to see if it was true. And they answered search and rescue. So I told them someone just called me about my husband. And then he asked me more questions, what you had on. I told him I didn't know. Where were you? So I told him the general place, the national park. And he told me that you hurt your leg. And they got a distress signal from you, and they're going to go out and find you.
So we have on staff, we have EMTs, which are emergency medical technicians. We have paramedics. We keep their their certificates up. We also have former law enforcement. And of course, it is a veteran-owned company, so we do have veterans on staff as well. So a lot of them have experience able to triage a particular case.
Make sure they're calm, make sure everybody's calm, and walk them through the process. If you have ice, let's put it on the wound. If you have something else that you can use to splint the wound or splint the fracture, let's do that. Let's utilize whatever you have available until search and rescue or EMS shows up to then finalize the treatment and care.
The new texting capabilities with these devices is a godsend. Before, devices were just a little blinky box. You don't know if somebody's actually getting that message.
After the initial questionnaire, the CRC got back to me through the app within 2 minutes. They wanted to know a little bit more information about what was happening, my situation, and my condition. A little over 10 minutes from my first contact, they had determined it wasn't a false alarm, they knew what was going on, and they had dispatched help to my location.
So our software actually will give us suggested search and rescue. We also utilize a lot with our mapping systems that will tell us jurisdictional, who's got jurisdiction over what. Especially where it comes to maritime, it might look like it belongs to, there's parts of Nicaragua that are controlled by Colombia when it comes to the waterway. We have an entire list of things that we can go through, especially in those scenarios of, okay, they've got jurisdiction, where we're basically getting all the plot lines and we know exactly who to call. So we're not calling the wrong people because seconds matter when you're dealing with a search and rescue situation.
So they were camping overnight and they were building a campfire, swung an axe, missed the log, hit the leg. With that information, we know when we contact these SAR entities or local police, to make sure they know how important the situation is, that's time sensitive. So perhaps sending a helicopter, that could drop in instead of hiking in, saves hours and potentially save this person's life. We have capabilities of sending live tracking links, so the SAR can actually communicate directly with the people on the ground that are in the emergency situation.
So our goal is when we contact an emergency resource, whether it's fire, police, a local entity, the goal is to provide as much information as possible, almost served up in a silver platter where they know exactly what's going on with that emergency. All they have to do is actually respond and render aid to this particular SOS, whatever it may be.
Now, this service is included with your basic messaging plan if you are on the Motorola Defy or on one of the Spot devices like the Spot Gen 4 or the Spot X. This is the unlimited SOS. Now, for both the Spot and for the Bullet, there's an optional Overwatch and Rescue service that you can purchase. If you're on the Bullet Messenger, you just go into your dashboard. It wasn't the easiest thing to find, but if you go to your plans, you'll see your SOS level standard. All you have to do is purchase SOS Premium, and you'll see a call out here for the Overwatch and Rescue service. It's $35 for the year. You might think this is similar to the insurance that Garmin offers, but it's actually pretty different. You can pause and take a look at this chart, but some of the things that stood out to me is that this is not an insurance plan. You just send them the bill and they cover it. There's no claims to fill out. More situations are covered. It's comparable to the high-risk plans that Garmin offers. It includes transportation all the way to the medical facility, not just a backcountry rescue. There's medical repatriation, so if you need to get home to get treated, they will do that. They'll pay for a family member to visit, and they'll even go and return your vehicle if you have to go to the hospital and left one at the trailhead. The thing that stood out to me about Overwatch and Rescue is that the team is actively advocating for your rescue. And in the case of the person in Argentina, when they alerted the official first responders, they weren't able to get out there right away. So the Overwatch and Rescue team looked at other options and eventually found a team that was willing to go up there and rescue her that was sort of outside of the official channels. So that time saved could have meant the difference between life and death.
The advantage of Overwatch and Rescue is we do stay in contact continuously, and we notify and we contact the entity, and we stay in dialogue with them to ensure that this rescue is occurring. If it happens to take 3 days because it's such a isolated area, we stay with them and we document everything and find a resolution of the case if he or she was rescued and what the outcome was. So one of the benefits of Overwatch and Rescue, it's a indemnified product. What does that mean is that there's no charge or no expense to the person that has it. Think of it as a AAA for people in a sense that this is for emergencies. For example, a helicopter. Helicopter gets you from point A to the hospital. There are countries where they do charge for a rescue, and it has happened. Overwatch and Rescue does cover that cost for the transport of the location of the incident to the hospital.
Once they get you and they stabilize you and move you to a hospital, another one of our benefits where I take a lot of time and I'm very involved in is getting you back home. But you can't travel by yourself. So you either need an air ambulance, a fully equipped air ambulance to get you back to your location for further treatment, or you're not as critical at that point needing an air ambulance, and we can facilitate a commercial medical repatriation to a hospital near your home. We have nurses, paramedics, and physicians on staff that we can dispatch to any location and then help you get from that hospital to another hospital near your home so you can be admitted there and continue your treatment until you get better and you can be discharged home.
We also cover civil unrest, part of that package. Natural disasters, as you're well aware, there's Florida's going through hurricanes right now. So our team's already monitoring that, and hopefully it goes through and there's not many injuries. But if we do happen to have that SOS that happens, we're ready to react and render aid where we need to.
We're here if you need us, and we are getting that call, and we're not going to stop until we know that you're safe. So we're going to do everything in our power to get you to that safety or to get the best outcome that we can for you. So that's the message I'd like to get out to the users. So
I found that pretty interesting. I hope you did too. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them underneath the video. I'll do my best to get back to you or even forward something on to Focus Point if I need clarification. And if you want to get one of these devices like the Motorola Defy Satellite Link, I have a ton of reviews on my channel and on my website, hikingguy.com. So just head over there and so that you can make an educated choice on what type of satellite communicator to get. I would say this, if you're going to go in the backcountry for any amount of time, it's always worth having one of these because they can save your life. Anyway, guys, I'll see you out on the trails.